Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Dan Schaefer.
And I'm Laura Harris. Dia is on assignment this afternoon. Lots to get to. But first, the rain is coming down. Wayne Shattuck, can we expect much more across the area?
I think so. Rain chances are pretty good, particularly.
All right, thanks, Wayne. Major developments in the courtroom today. The judge in the Dante Morris murder trial has dismissed the entire jury pool. Morris is accused of several murders, including 2 Tampa police officers. But today's decision is in the case of a man killed outside a club in 2010. And our John Thomas was in the courtroom for the decision and joins us live. John?
Now in a court of law.
We're told Thomas's family has hired an attorney to represent him. Another manhunt. The FBI is offering a $20,000 reward to help track down a former minister from Bradenton. Aubrey Price is wanted for allegedly embezzling $21 million while serving as the director of a Georgia bank. Billboards are going up in the Bay Area with his picture on them. Price was last seen on June 16th in Key West boarding a ferry to Fort Myers. If you've seen him, call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI.
A traffic alert for drive. It is operating on a loan from the Treasury.
2 major online poker sites are throwing in their chips. PokerStars and Full Tilt Poker have agreed to hand over nearly $750,000 to settle federal charges of money laundering and fraud. The government shut down both offshore gambling sites last year. Microsoft is taking on Google's Gmail with its new LAHWk.com webmail service. All right, staying with Olympics. The Olympics are traditionally all about rooting for your favorite athletes, the thrill of the nail-biting finish and patriotic pride. But this year, fans are noticing something extra. There are some seriously good-looking Olympians out there. ABC's Cecilia Vega has a look at the best bodies and how they got that way.
And now to an interesting new trend in weddings. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something rented.
That doesn't really rhyme.
Well.
But it sounds like a great deal to more and more brides trying to trim the cost of the biggest and for some the most expensive day of their lives. Here's ABC's Abby Boudreau.
From the station that's taking action for you, this is ABC Action News this morning.
1 dead and 1 injured after an airplane crash here at Albert Whitted Airport. I'm Laura Harris in St. Petersburg, and I've got the details on that investigation coming up.
At Albert Whitted Airport this morning. She joins us now with more. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning to you too, Dia. They still don't know exactly what may have caused this plane crash, but I can tell you the plane was headed west on the runway, and then, well, you can see behind me, this is what happened. That plane still upside down. Because right now the FAA doesn't want anyone to move the plane. They're planning on coming out this morning to conduct an investigation, but I can tell you there's a police car right in front of that airplane still guarding it, making sure that nobody touches it. But as you said, Dia, we're told 79-year-old James Finnegan went up in the air yesterday to take a refresher flying lesson. Didn't make it to the ground alive. His fixed-wing single-engine plane went down just before 2 o'clock Wednesday. His 37-year-old passenger, though, was able to make it out of that crash safely. Lieutenant Joel Granada with the St. Petersburg Fire Rescue says that man was actually performing CPR on Finnegan when the rescue crews got to the runway.
From witnesses' statements we've been able to find out, and it's going to be thoroughly investigated by FAA, that it was on takeoff. The plane was airborne at the time. They heard some engine sputtering, and the plane just did a nosedive into the runway.
And Finnegan was taken to Bayfront Hospital where he was pronounced dead. His passenger is still in the hospital this morning, considered in good condition, I should say stable condition. At this time, we are hearing that the plane was a 1947 make, but it was in some sort of crash in the 1960s. That plane was then refurbished and able to go back up in the air, so not quite sure what role that may have played in the accident. But of course, as soon as the FAA gets out here and gets more information this morning, we will bring that to you. For now, we're live at Albert Whitted Airport in St. Petersburg. Laura Harris, ABC Action News.
Thank you, Laura.
It's those that are missing. Laura Harris is live at the Tampa Bay Times Forum, the stage for the RNC, to break down what this preliminary list of names means. Good afternoon, Laura.
Good afternoon, Dan. It means that they're not politically snubbing anyone. It doesn't mean just because someone's name is not on the list right now that maybe it won't be added a little bit later. In fact, history shows that if your name is not on the list right now, it could mean that you're still in the running to be a vice presidential candidate. One thing is for sure, though, the GOP is strategically making these moves.
This is all going to be very, very carefully calculated.
Jim Davis, former Florida state representative as well as United States representative, says the Republicans have a distinct plan as they strategically roll out the names of those that will be speaking at the Republican National Convention.
I think the Republican Party did two things today, both of which are wise. They touted out some of their best and brightest, and they mixed into that some people they have to ask to speak.
Davis says he's not just looking at the names that have been introduced, but he says just as important, if not more, is when these people will speak. He says the primetime speakers will be the ones to watch, the ones the Republican Party really want to put on display. That said, there has been talk that if the name isn't on the list, it probably means the person is still in the coveted Veep stakes. However, Davis seems to think we will know who Romney has chosen before the RNC even starts.
Many of these people that are being touted as vice presidential candidates are leaders in their own right. I think they will always be speaking in some way at the convention.
He says people like Condoleezza Rice will have a lot to bring to the table on hot-button issues like foreign policy. People like Governor Scott and Senator John McCain are more formalities, more of tradition, because those two won't help to swing votes. Speakers like South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez will get the attention of the women voters as they both made history by becoming the first female governors in their respective states. While we expect to hear more announcements on those who will be slated to speak, the question still remains: who will get the nod for the vice presidency? Despite much conversation, Davis doesn't seem to think it will be Florida Senator Marco Rubio. He says he thinks the battleground state of Ohio will get the green light.
Today I put my money on Rob Portman.
And Portman, of course, the junior state senator over in Ohio, the battleground state. So we'll just have to see if Davis was actually right on this one. But for now, we're live in Tampa. Laura Harris, ABC Action News.
Thank you, Laura. One person is dead.
Now, from the station that's taking action for you, this is ABC Action News.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Dia Riley.
And I'm Laura Harris. Dan Schaefer has the day off. The warning is over. Drivers will now be hit with red light camera violations in the city of Clearwater. Brad Davis joins us now live from one of Clearwater's busiest intersections. Good afternoon to you, Brad.
Yeah, Laura, hi. I'm here.
Paychecks.
This afternoon, we're learning more about the threat that led to the evacuation of the Ritz Theater last night. About 1,000 people were at the theater for a death metal show that featured a number of bands. According to Tampa police, someone reported overhearing two people talking about a plan to start shooting during the concert. Today's new cars come with tire pressure monitors, but now it turns out they may lead to a false sense of security.
And that's because a lot of drivers don't check their tires anymore. Consumer reporter John Matarese